And just like that, we are live. Big shout out to everybody that has been downloading the podcast on Spotify before we get into it all. Much love, everybody. As every year it happens, these 3 to 4 weeks as we air and talk about the Lego Masters, of course, are our most popular. And this year is no different. This year, if anything, is even better. Episode 3 dropped tonight, and it wouldn't be, the same old Lego show here, without our co-hosts, the legends, the other pieces of the furniture. We, of course, had the big man Bilsy and the one and only Henry. What's up, lads? What's up?
What's up, boys?
Hey. All right. We've hyped it enough. We've talked about it enough. We've dropped the Instagram pictures, and I'm sure that Reddit will be on fire very, very shortly. But let's just make the guests the trio 4 for now. Bring him in, the man,
the guest of honor.
We've got Kale. All right.
Hey.
Let's start off. First off, most off, man. Thank you. Appreciate you coming on, man. Like it's been a solid, 5 years. We did it together, and the show we started the show. Bills and I started the show from our season. We haven't had the chance, whether it be our disagreements, social media, whatever, all the shit that's happened. We will talk about bits and pieces of it, but here now, Grandmasters and shining, and you're on. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
No, it's absolutely it is awesome. And I did, for those that would have seen today as well, I put out and the good and the bad. Reddit is every part of that scale of good and bad. And I put in the Lego Masters Reddit today as well that we're going to have you on tonight. Did anybody, throw out the questions? Let's do it. Let's run it. And we'll see what they give. But of course, Reddit's also, there's a lot of crap and just bottom feeders on there, which we will ignore. I do have 2 moderators in the chat tonight as well. So Snow Laner, I'm looking at you. And if Andy's on as well, if anyone does get a bit stupid in the chat, please delete, get rid of them, ban them. We don't need that kind of stuff tonight. So, Kale is good enough to come on and we bury the hatchet at Brickvention. It's all good. And we do have Kale for half an hour. Trent will be on later. We will talk about obviously Grandmasters, and we'll dig into that. But I guess the most and me too. The most exciting thing is we've got you on here. We can have a chat, and we can get through it all and question it all. And I'm sure our chat here as well will have their own questions. I've kind of scribbled through a few through that we haven't really got to ask you any questions from any season, any episodes. But I guess with Big Henry next to you, what's it like to be the most seen Lego Master? You've hit three, technically 3 now. You season 1 Grandmasters. You had your own bloody challenge about you. It's like.
Well, me and Trent though. Trent did too. He's also up there with 3 seasons. No, it's I don't know. It's weird, okay? It's weird. Sure, I cut the hair and it makes me get recognised a little less. But everywhere I go, man, it's
It's, and you know what? In that same line, man, it was funny when we first aired and you would have seen it as well. The whole, I'm pretty in Lego circles. I'm pretty famous, and obviously people lost their mind. Hashtag Lego famous. You're not wrong though. Like you legitimately are proper Lego famous.
Yeah, but that is something I feel like we probably should touch on a little. One of the things that I wasn't allowed to talk about on Lego Masters is being neurodivergent. I've got ADHD, touch of Aspie, it's no longer thing in the DSM. But those little snippets, those little, the editing, it's those little snippets that they were using, the voice grab you said about being Lego famous, from a conversation where I was answering direct questions, had been immediately before that told I couldn't talk about being neurodiverse in my introduction. I couldn't talk about this, couldn't talk about that, couldn't, etc. And was deeply uncomfortable. And yet, there it is on screen. And it's fun, right? Kayfabe, wrestling term. I don't know if you're wrestling fans. You kind of keep up with that appearance. It's all for fun. It's all for entertainment. But I do wish that they could have chosen to be, tackled that issue a little bit more directly and been brave enough to, you know. So
especially in the world we live in now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you nailed it. Like, it's a new world now. It's even more accepted, and it's better to talk about it now than it was back even in the first season. And to be honest, I'd rather roll with the hashtag Lego famous and hashtag DILF. Just putting it out there.
I don't know. DILF isn't too bad a thing to be.
Come on, man. Come on.
I don't know. I got more wrinkles, and I had a bit of a health scare last year. I'm not in the same shape I was.
Were you gonna say something, Henry?
Yeah, I was going to tell Kale to just hit me up, and I'll tell what cycle of roids he should use.
Nah.
Far out. Those that have just joined us, I did see a whole bunch of people just come in now as well. We do have Kale obviously in. Feel free to ask him questions as well. We will chat kind of general, all things Lego Masters, and Kale until Trent does come, and then we'll talk about tonight's insane Is It Fake episode. I feel now this is a good thing. The whole Kale scale, it was a bit of a joke. It was a bit funny at first thing, but that wave, riding that wave, and then obviously getting your own challenge from it. What, from your point of view, what's the whole Kale scale thing been like? With come from Lego shows to, do you feel that you need to go Kale scale now when you go and present a mock at a show?
There is a bit of pressure, absolutely. It does feel like there is a bit of pressure to do that, because that's not like what I like doing. Like, what I like doing is really detailed minifigure scale stuff, and you can see that in my photography. But that doesn't really impress as well when you're at an event. And yes, absolutely, with regards to the show, and corporate bookings that you kind of get and stuff like that, they absolutely want big Kale scale stuff. And Lego doesn't lend itself well to that, like it takes a lot of parts, and stuff like that. So,
you can only do it on Lego Masters. You can only do it on Lego Masters, all that big stuff. Like,
no, you know what? I'm going to disagree.
You did just see me wandering around the studio, right? You know how many bricks are in there. Yeah.
But you've also got to think too, right? I get where if you go a couple of years back, the whole Kale scale or big size thing that was it Runa that had the ice fox, that ice thing that won at Brickvention?
Yep.
Amazing. But then you look this year, that castle dragon, I can't remember what the name of it was. That was a minifigure built story. Do you get what I'm saying? Even though it was insanely huge and 5 tables big, whatever it was.
the Moff Gideon Cruiser, which was minifigure scale for what that should be.
Wasn't that epic?
Which was mind blowing.
For those who haven't seen it, it was 7.4 meters long, accurate to minifigure scale for Moff Gideon's light cruiser from Star Wars.
And exploded on the way to the show.
Yeah. They were building 2 days straight.
There's a really good for those that do want to look for it, search Brickvention and time lapse. There's a really good time lapse for the guys rebuilding it the Thursday, the Friday, and the Saturday morning before Brickvention. It's Franz. Thanks for the follow. Thanks everybody that is coming in. Falcon's Crest. Thanks, Helena. That's the one I was thinking of.
It even impressed someone that doesn't know what a Star Wars is.
Star Wars can sit on it.
Some of it's good.
Let me ask a very open, generic question. What's the best thing that's come from the fame, the whole everything from season 1 to the challenge to now?
No, I've probably told this story. Some people may have heard the story before, but one of the big things that really came out of it in the first few months of the first season was people would come up and say, thank you for being on the show. And it took me a while, especially in those first few months, it took me a while to really understand what they were saying, because everybody's recognizing you, everybody's coming up to you. But as that initial 15 minutes started to fade out, those people who would come up and say thank you were still doing that. So I started to question that choice of words. And it turns out that what they were saying is, hey, I've got somebody in my life who's neurodiverse. We recognize your neurodiversity. and we see you succeeding because of that instead of in spite of that. So thank you for representing, and that really kind of reframed what, like, it wasn't an enjoyable experience first season, you know, like it had its moments, but I didn't necessarily enjoy it. And it really reframed it and helped me kind of understand the importance of it. And that's why I touched on it earlier. When I said yes to going back for season 5, I really wanted to be able to talk openly and advocate for those of us who have some kind of difference, you know, whatever
I'm
that
Asian.
stripe happens to be. Yeah, you know what?
I'm Asian. Kale's just poured his heart out, giving you full detail of what's going on.
Bro, this is the Bilsy
Classic
show,
Henry,
man.
classic
Take it
Henry.
serious, man. This isn't Oprah. This is the Bilsy show. Come on.
Yeah.
Keep it real. Sorry, Kale.
Well,
Keep going.
we've all got
Keep
our
going.
crux to overcome.
Amazing.
It is Channel 9, but, you know, yeah.
No, you're a legend,
that's.
Kale. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. You're a legend.
I think you've derailed it thoroughly. But no, that's a big part of what came out of it, and I do these days. I do quite a well, at least pre-COVID. COVID absolutely put the kibosh on it for a bit, and it's only really just getting back up here in Melbourne. But yeah, like work with the disabled and work with disability groups and awareness and that kind of stuff, and it's so rewarding, you know, like I imagine being Asian is for Henry.
He got you. He got you good.
Whoa, Kale got me bored.
Well played. Well played.
Oh, it's not
that is
actually a
funny.
disability, Kale. It's not a disability.
Oh, okay, cool.
You keep telling yourself that, Henry. You keep telling yourself that. You
Snap.
did mention, and this is where it hit me a little bit, I guess. You mentioned obviously the first season didn't come out as good. Where the way it's edited, as much as you're pissed off with my build skills, ethic, whatever, coming out of it was, you know, and obviously we went at each other on social media back and forward, and you know, there's a history there, and it's love's gone now. It's happened.
We've put it behind us. I'd like to keep it there behind us, you know.
I'm good with that.
So like, and look, I think there are certain, like this season, I went back with the very deliberate intention of just having fun. Like it was just really have fun. And so there are some truly like that first episode, we talked about it before we went to air, but there's that bit where I'm gnawing Trent's ear off and they're fading it out and you know, that conversation. That happened a half hour before Brickman asked that question. And you can track some of it from how the build in front of us is jumping around, but it's like watching it backwards because they've really worked hard to maintain that Kale's the heel, and we're going to squeeze that in no matter hell or high water, you know. Because me and Trent, like, our plan for the first build, we don't know one another that well. We're going to have to figure this out. We're going to have to figure the brick pit out. We're going to have to figure out so much stuff, you know. Like, it's 5 years since I've been in that brick pit. It has changed so much.
Massive,
you know, I think
right? Massive.
Like there's twice the number of pieces. Most of them are mangled from constant destruction challenges. You know, there was a lot to be learned. Even the way the floor feels under the feet and the way the smells in the air, and like there's no more pigeons in the rafters, you know, because it's a completely different stage. You know, it's so different. So we went in knowing that we're going to have to figure this out. We're going to have to, you know, and we're just going to have some fun and figure it out as we go. And so, it's really weird. Like one of those moments I do really wish they had put to air, and I think I said this earlier too, is the way we built that tower around the cable is a stroke of genius. Like it's super clever what's internally there. None of that gets shown. And then because to test its strength, we start treating it as a boxing bag, you know, pat, 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 pat. It's got to hold up, right? We've just assembled it. Let's make it hold up. Come on, Trent, have a punch. You know, Damien comes over, you know. That's not there. And it was such a fun moment to experience, you know, live. And yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like I lost the track there. That's probably my ADHD
Cal,
on.
can I,
No,
can
no,
I,
no.
Cal, can I ask you a
Yeah.
question from the chat? It says,
Yeah.
who came up with the idea of Trent's veto? Was that a production thing or was that a you and Trent thing?
No. Again, look, me and Trent had conversations about our various strengths. I absolutely do need somebody to rein me in a little bit. And this episode, the one you're talking about, we were towards the bottom third of the leaderboard. And so we're like, well, you know what? We got to climb it. How do we do that? And I'm like, let's take the risk. Like, we got nothing to lose here. Let's take the risk. Let's do something big. But Trent was like, no, veto
pause
it.
you on that one. Let me pause you there for a sec, just to block you out. Henry, we'll wait for and I'm looking at you, man. We'll wait for Trent to come on for episode questions. That veto one's a good one to come back on. But another reason why I wanted to stop you there, the whole, you got nothing to lose, let's go hell for leather type thing. That's going to come up twice. Obviously, our DeLorean build that we are both super famous for, getting through and not losing, but also the point, and we're going to bring it back up. And
that's where that came from.
Guaranteed. And back then, didn't have a problem with it. But the chair, the whole thing about the chair tonight, you didn't build the chair. We'll get back to that one. So we'll leave tonight's episodes quick. Wait for Trent. Keep that in your back of your mind when Trent comes. So
I will say one thing, because I'll otherwise forget. They did actually have enough brown bricks put aside backstage with the expectation that I would.
Bro, I knew that because I used most of them on the hat stand because I was like, man, why is there this endless supply of brown?
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that's because we thought Kale was going to use the table, pick the table.
I have another question. So, me and you not knowing each other going into the first season, no one even knew what the show was going to first season. Going into it now, even, what you did know about Trent, what you didn't know about Trent, was it still in the back of your mind, you prepared, it was going to be tough again going in with not a close partner, especially being grandmasters?
No, that's absolutely one of those things me and Trent talked about. Wasn't there for the money. Didn't care about winning. I'm not there to win. In fact, especially during first season, I always got the feeling that I was not allowed to win. And you see a bit of that tonight, in tonight's episode, and last episode. So that's not why either of us there. And Trent was on the same page. Like, Trent's is awesome. Like, love the dude. We geek out about all the same kinds of stuff. And we were there to have fun and just experience it and build awesome Lego and have somebody else clean up afterwards. You're like, how great is it to have somebody else doing the sorting?
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Based on your first 3 builds together, you're going to give them all a red hot crack. So it'd be interesting to see how far you guys go, because based on the first 3 builds, you're doing quite well.
And each one's been better than the last. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Same with like you said, like, the whole you're going in and you're going in there now to have fun and experience it, not even worry about winning the money. And as Bill just mentioned then, it seems now that, have you taken a different mindset, knowing how it's going to be edited, how it's going to look, how it could look, how, now that it's a TV beast, not a dead set hardcore Lego competition, was your mindset different going in this time around as well? Because of that?
Well, yeah, I absolutely. There were a few different little factors, and one of them was wanting to be able to openly talk about being neurodiverse and advocate for that and talk about that, which got shut down. And there were a few other little things too, but it was really just about having fun. Like, remember the food from first season? That was so good. I would have turned up just for the food. Turns out, not the same catering company. Not nearly as good behind the scenes anymore.
They booted a catering company because everyone was like, I think it was after a week.
Yeah.
Was it a week?
Yeah.
Every week I kept saying, man, this food is cardboard. It's shit.
Even
and then,
still,
you
though,
got a new catering company.
Being able to serve, being somebody who has slight dietary needs, it was great being able to just pick from the Bay Marines and those fresh meats, and not having that. So
Cade wouldn't have survived
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Now, we talked about, and we'll touch on it shortly too. We talked about how you said, the whole Kale scale does give you another, I guess, a bit of pressure on what to build. We did chat before we went live that you are building tonight because obviously you got Bendigo coming up this weekend. And I've noticed a few people already asked for a quick room tour as well. So do you want to give us a quick walk around what you're building and what you're going on?
All right. So the camera may not cooperate.
User error.
Yeah, it is. But for Bendigo, it's going to, let's see. So here we've got what's going to be up the back. You can kind of get a sense, little fairy tree. There we go.
How high is that tree going to be, Kale? Have you got more to go on top?
Yeah, it will be layered because that's already going to be above this.
Wow.
Where are we? Is that showing up at all?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me blow you up so it's even bigger.
Okay, cool. Now I can actually see what I'm pointing my camera at. Yeah, so we've got there we go. Wish I could turn the camera around. Darn phone. Yeah.
You're doing all right.
So there we go. I don't know how well that's coming up. But yes, it's all going to go on top of that. And this will be the next section upwards. And then there'll be a little bit more. I don't know. I might actually pull in the Christmas tree that I've got. I still haven't put it down. Totally ADHD things. But, I might repurpose the top half of that and make that the top of the tree.
I wouldn't pull it down either. That was an epic.
No.
But
that's what I was going to say.
This is my studio.
Let's do this. Let's do the room tour, then we'll talk about some of your builds.
Here's a Doctor Strange life-size model that I've been building. I don't know how well that shows up either, but you can get a sense of it there.
It's kind of like Doctor Strange given the rock eyebrow.
And the room is mostly just full of half-built creations that are partially abandoned. This is eventually going to be a Mario pinball machine. I've got a whole bunch of Mario boxes here. It's been sitting there 3 months. There's a little Mario face over here.
The Mario face is cool.
And he's been sitting there, I think, for almost 3 years. I only put ears on him recently. He still doesn't have a back to his head, And there's lots of little bits like that, that was an old Cyberpunk City mock that's starting to fall down. I've got a Daily Bugle here in the corner that just talks to me.
As you're walking around. One from Twitch from Haytan. Are you going to finish the Mario build behind you? I'm guessing they're talking about the face.
The face? Well, yes, but it might take another 3 years. So, yeah. So, that is why I've got this pile here that you can kind of see. I've got so much Mario stuff hiding down in that corner.
Is that all the stuff that's 80% off at Kmart that no one's buying?
Some of, yeah. Well, it was more about I needed a bunch of the figures, and I wanted to have the Daisy, Luigi, and Mario. So people say that the Mario Nintendo theme, or especially the Mario stuff, was a waste of time and money, but it just seems like you and Dave Holder are literally clearing out every bloody shop in Australia with it. Look, well, I'd say that's a big pile, but there's at least 1 million bricks in this room. It's probably closer to 2, and there's stuff in the rest of my house as well. This is only some of it. So, if I stand in the middle and spin.
Bilsy, can I just say g'day to Tom in the chat? Brick Shelf, he's a legend.
Oh, definitely. And for those that do follow and go and follow Brick Shelf, he does a Thursday night show with a few other Lego legends and Dave.
He does it with David, yeah.
That's right.
Yep. Critter, look, jokes aside, buddy, I've been following you for longer than your Lego Masters time. You are a very talented builder. And that's one thing that I'll add as well, Kale. A lot of people were all, if and you would have got it, back when we were at our heat of a married couple fighting, you had your fans. I had people that, Kale this, Kale that. You would have had Bilsy this, Bilsy that. but I can guarantee, I can tell you, and Bilsy and Henry can both back me up from day one, man. I might have said every now and then, that you were a bit of a dick to me, a bit of a wanker, whatever it was, but your builds have always been, I've never knocked one of your builds. Like, your builds have always been fucking top notch, and you're an insane builder. Now coming out and you know what as well, this season, and this is why I asked the question before about have you looked at this season differently, because whether your redemption arc was your Lego builds, what they saw on TV or editing, but man, I feel that a couple of little bits and pieces where you're going to have people wanting to pull your Lego joke about, but I feel these first 3 episodes, especially tonight, it's kind of like, I think you're probably going to grow more Kale fans now than you would have Kale enemies, you know what I mean? Like, it's coming across really bloody good, man. Like, it's, just got to put it out there, not kissing your ass. I feel this time.
I don't think you'd ever do that. No, certainly when I was talking about redemption, I wasn't talking about Lego builds. I was talking about that character. Like, and that's comes back to part of what I was saying about going back for fun. Because I don't feel like I was shown accurately at all first season. I'm much more of a fun, happy-go-lucky, caring guy, but that doesn't apparently sell as well. So,
No, of course not. And you know what? And whatever it is. And a few people have told me too. I never, obviously not coming back on now with you again. It does. I was pissed off about it. Never got asked. And it's not a sore point, but it's like, come on, I would have loved to go back on. But watching you and Trent is also just as good now. And obviously with Henry, not getting much TV time though, Henry, unfortunately.
His double come.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure it will. But yeah, and we all know that, it doesn't matter, even if you had your own redemption arc before you step foot in, them preparing for this show, they needed that hashtag villain. They needed you in for them ratings. They needed for that hook, bringing Grandmasters. You were the golden ticket for this round. And I think it's not really worked the way they probably wanted it to.
Well, I don't think I gave them enough. And certainly you can see some of that because they've tried to tell that story come hell or high water. But, they could have been focusing on the fun moments. And there's so many more fun moments that they could have used, Even just tonight's episode, the banter between me and Scotty and Owen about the fan, Like, that was good-hearted banter. They were giving it back, or they started, actually. Even just little things like, he's got gives a lot of shade for a little man, I wish that had
that was a good call. That was come on, even I laughed at that one. That was
exactly.
And the part where you started talking about, I don't even know what you're talking about, but how the TV literally tuned out, played music, and you just see Trent's distant stare, and it's like, I don't understand anything you just said, mate. Like, that made me laugh loud. That got me good.
Yeah, well, it's. I thought that was a really weird, edited moment. Like, So
it was a bit mean. It was a bit mean-spirited, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and this is, but it's. I don't know.
But if that's what they got, that's what they got. That's not much in a sense of everything else that went on. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't give them too much ammo to try.
Yeah, but us having dance-offs, they could have showed that.
Yeah, no, Steve,
you wouldn't want to see that, man. You don't.
I've got 2 left feet. Don't get me wrong, but there's just so many little stupid moments that we had at while building and at the table and with other tables as well, and it's like there were some really gold moments that could be in that, and they've chosen.
It is hard to get a lot of footage down to 60 minutes or less, as you all know. And everybody knows that reality TV is edited for entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
They've always painted different people in different ways. Like, I'm sure you'll all agree that there's been builders over the 5 seasons that should not be there, but they've been edited like they're these epic builders. I'm not mentioning any names at all, but and then there's other people who
Bills up. I'm itching now. I want to hear these names.
No.
He's talking about me.
And then there's these other epic builds that, like, deserve to be in Denmark, and they just barely get any screen time or mention at all. So
yeah, bro. Yeah, tell me, bro. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Okay, now you know what? I've got one, and we'll talk about it when.
And yeah, look, while you're on that, tonight's episode, there was this moment where Brickman comes over and he's talking about the front of the radio, and just he could not contain himself. He'd never seen that Wands techniques before. One of the few times I've seen him just the mask comes off and he's just totally, I'm here for the joy of this Lego.
Is off the chain. The dial that you did was insane. It was like, I remember walking past that going,
it's not there in the final edit though, you know. That's one of those moments that got dropped.
Can we go back to Brent's question, right? Brent said that the critiques were really a bit sporadic, right? Brent asked the question in the chat, and mate, 100%. Like, look, I'll talk about my critique. Like, when Sarah and I put up that hat stand, he basically said, oh man, you guys have compromised, which is 100%. We ran out of time. We had to do 6 of those things. Yeah. We only did 2, right? And then, and ultimately I was only going to do 4 anyway, because 6 was this weird number that doesn't fit with the Lego geometry that we were building. Okay. And then he basically griefed us a little bit on the hinges on the inside were white and they were shining through. And he was saying, oh, you know, you could probably spot the white hinges. And stuff like that. It was a lot of stuff, and it all got cut.
It was necessity, though.
Yeah, that's right. It all got cut. Your edit was really weird, where he goes, you know, the roof, and then it just cut, and that was it.
Yeah, they didn't even show the roof. And like, that's another one of those moments where, like, me and Trent are like, oh, this roof, maybe I should talk about when Trent is here, but like. We went into that final hour. We still needed to put a roof on. We've talked about it, and like I've said, and we've both basically said, "Oh, I want to do it this way," but and thinking that the other person is saying something different, but I'll do it your way. And so in the end, we're both doing it the way neither of us wanted to do.
Yeah, trying to please each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we'll do it your way, and you know, we've just got to bust this thing out. Let's get it done. It's a schmozzle. Like, it was so concave, you could have used it as a skate ramp, you know. And yeah, it didn't even bother showing it.
Yeah, man. They smashed us. They glossed over this massive part on our build.
Yeah.
Where, you know, like they made this. You remember how Sarah made the road sign in her season with Fleur, and it collapsed, right? So they were like, "Oh, is this giving you PTSD, Sarah? You know, doing this big sign." Doing this big poll again, you know, that sort of thing. And
they didn't show that.
And they didn't show any of that because the hard part for us is that, and they didn't show it at all, which irritated me a little bit, because this was the biggest, like, it was one of the hardest parts of our build, was we actually had to lift the pole off the ground. Like, the pole is actually off the ground. The legs are on the ground. The pole is off the ground. So the pole had to be supported. Okay. And that was huge. And like, it took me ages to solve that. And yeah, none of that was shown.
Yeah.
And with going back to your one, and like, again, we will get deep into it. With Trent said he's lesson 5 away as well. When they were judging your one, Henry, it was like, here's the hat stand. You had the hardest build and you kind of nailed it. It was really good. And then boom, next build. It was like, what?
Yeah.
Where's the rest of the critiquing?
Yeah. And it was.
I don't know what he was using to judge who was hard and who was easy, you know? Like, the hat stand, don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily easy, but like, you know, that's one of those moments there in the episode. We have that disagreement. Like, I think the hardest thing to replicate is texture, you know? Yeah. If you've got something that's already plastic.
Well, that's as well, Kale. They mentioned, and Aussie just said it here in the chat. Wooden texture technique. They mentioned it, but they didn't get a good look at the finish, and you didn't. Yeah. Like, you didn't get a good. You got it when you were building the plates, obviously, and you know.
The people who picked up plastic stuff are at that disadvantage. Yeah, I don't know if it's there in the final edit, but the very first thing I believe Sophie named was the red telephone, because it's a big plastic thing.
Yeah.
You know, Gus and David get paired because they picked up
at random.
Plastic things.
Sophie was just picking stuff at random.
I think she needed her glasses on. Yeah,
she was just going that. Yeah. What about that? Yeah,
so definitely towards the end. Some of those I think were educated guesses. The fact that she did not pick the plastic books tells me that she didn't have her glasses on. So
apparently Trent's trying to get in, but I think he might be having issues with his phone. I just resent him the link. I'm watching the green screen, the green room bit at the moment till he pops up. So hopefully he does come through.
But yeah, she gave me Bilsy, you got to talk about. She gave me a big shout out. She gave me the shout out.
Oh, okay. While Trent's trying to
while
get
you're
in,
waiting for Trent.
So Brent as well, Brent Waller, he missed the start of the episode. And I told everyone last night when we finished last night's stream to make sure you keep a good eye on what happens at the start of this episode. It's all like big theme, big dramatics, the fog, the smoke, the lights. Sophie walks in. Hi, Henry. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Doesn't matter. Everybody else is in. Hamish is there. Brickman, the whole crew. Straight bang. Hi, Henry. Like, come on, man.
Well,
by the time she walked in, we all knew. We all knew. She's got a very distinctive perfume. Red Door.
Nah, she has. You know. I knew it was Sophie coming in the whole time, and I didn't tell any of you because I didn't want to wreck the surprise, and I knew I would have got smashed if I told everyone. But she has a Asian makeup guy, right? Yeah. And I saw, and he goes with her everywhere, right? Sorry, what?
Is it a relative?
Maybe. And then the minute I saw him, I was like, because we saw him when we were walking out the back, and I go, "Oh, Normie's here. That's Sophie's makeup guy." And then
we were talking.
Boom.
I don't know if you were there at the time, but we were talking with some of the production people, and they were like, "Who do you think the guest star is? Who do you think the guest star is?" And one of us said, because there'd been a few clues, one of us did say Sophie Monk. Could totally read it in their faces, you know. You knew, you know. So,
who else is it going to be?
G's in the chat. G, what's up, G? How are you, brother?
G, man. We only got like 3 celebrities in the
Did you get dinner with Sophie, Henry?
Nah, man. We only got like 3 celebrities in the whole of Australia.
Trent, hold your phone.
Hey.
Can you wiggle your phone, you boomer?
Look, you know what it's like with these old fogies.
There we go.
Hey,
everybody, welcome Trent. Trent, Kale's partner for season 5 out of the Grandmasters. We finally got him in now. His excuse is Adelaide, of course, is half an hour behind us. So,
you're living in the past.
Welcome, Trent.
We are. Thanks, guys. I'm here with like Pinto's got the mo and Kale's got the home dog vibe going. It's I've gone into an alternate reality, but it's great.
And the first, Trent flexing his toy collection. Yes. So for those that don't know, I will blow up real quickly. For those that don't know, Trent is probably one of Australia's biggest and best insane vintage toy collectors and completionists. He also is the superstar of an amazing toy podcast, Toy Power podcast. So massive shout to that podcast as well. A background that no Lego nerd could beat. Like the variety behind Trent is better than a toy shop, better than a bloody toy shop. But yeah, amazing, man. And thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for, it is late obviously, but thank you for coming in and hanging out and chatting with us. And we have been holding off purposely. We haven't talked about tonight's episode at all, except for Sophie's cute "Hi Henry" when she walked in. Other than that, we've we haven't touched nothing on. Before we do get into tonight's episode, we will touch softly on episode 1 and 2. First episode, the 360 top and bottom Earth builds. The weird upside down top bottom Earth. The question I've got for you guys, I guess, is almost self-explanatory, but coming in open show, not knowing each other's, from what you know from social media and what you've seen each other on TV, but picking what to build, how hard was it for the first icebreaker, I guess?
For the first one, oh man, no, I don't think we decided what we were building until the final hour, did we? It changed so many times.
Typical Brickman, just throwing in kind of like curveballs and why is it there? What's the purpose of it? Why does it exist in reality? And it just throws you. I think we were just.
I don't think anyone else got asked that question. Like, why is it there? Everyone there's no reason. We're building stuff in a floating island. There's no reason why it's there.
Yeah.
How interesting though. But yeah, you're right, Henry. It seems like that Trent and Kale were getting asked questions that no one else were. You know what I mean? It is like that. As I go through a few of my scribble notes as well, I got Snow Lana, Helena, shout to Helena too, keeping everyone's questions in check. from Brickles, I still think too much screen time for Hamish, and the little sketches. I want to see more of the builds and how you're building. 100%. That's happened every season. We always want to see what and how it's getting built, not the jokes and a man in a mermaid suit and a stupid computer sketch. Everyone's on agreement on that one. That's not on us. That's on editing and, however it rolls. Let's talk about last night's awesome waterfall, the magician and the assistants. Man, well done, boys. Like, freaking awesome. A bit of the old, and again, probably editing, but Kale, a bit cringy with the first barrel. I built it first, you stole me, but hey, they had to pick something.
It is worth saying, like, me and Trent, like, we lightning pace through that build. Lightning pace. We both came to the table. He's pretty much said, magician in barrel. I've gone, yep, let's do it. Trent, you said you wanted to take lead on the head. I was like, fine, I'll start with the barrel. So we've got that smashed out and sitting on the corner of our table in I think the first 10 minutes. And at one point there is 4 barrels being built in the room. Like, the edit makes it look like 3. There does end up being 2.
But you've both been in that situation before. Did you not realize that, oh crap, if I build something early, Brickman's coming in to not let you, cruise saddle us.
6 hours isn't very long though. And we thought we didn't have a lot of time. And then we've got that magician finished before we reach the halfway mark.
That's what I mean. Like, you could have played the game and put the head over there and the body over there to milk your hours. Instead, you put pressure on yourselves to build the assistant, then build a second barrel, then push it. And hey, it paid off for you because awesome, like insanely awesome. But, yeah,
and it's funny that you mentioned editing as well, because they made it appear like, well, Trent was working on the faces. It took you hours to do the barrel, Kale. And then right at the end, Brickman comes in and goes, I want to see a second barrel. And Trent goes, here you go.
Yeah. The barrel took literal minutes. Yeah. It's not complicated. What it is super duper fragile because, of course, it's meant to explode. So every time we'd touch it and move it, that was its own set of problems. But no, like, it was a character build led by Trent here, who I don't know, I should let you do more of the talking. But, like, we basically, like, you do the head, I'll get a body started. I'll start from the bottom. You start from the top, kind of thing. Yeah, and it came together so well. It was just so much fun.
And probably what that episode doesn't show. I built the head of the magician, probably half the head of the assistant, and Kale pretty much did the rest. I helped him with the second barrel, but the man is lightning fast. So it's a godsend to have someone that can build super quick.
Yeah, man, I've got to make a note. I had a question I wanted to ask you guys when I saw that that episode, right? When you're doing the release, right? When you're up there with Hamish, your magician actually flies off faster, way faster than the actual assistant. Yeah. And if they had gone at the same time, it may not have had the same impact, right? Was that just by design, or was that just luck? Or did you give it a bit of a more push than...
We had the chance to talk with Hamish about release, and like, that's the only time I was on the show that I was genuinely nervous, like being up on that thing. Like, I don't know if it's you can fully see it in the edit, but it's 3 meters above the ground and wobbling like this, So, but yeah, absolutely. We talked about you release, count 1, 2, 3, I release. So it was a little bit planned.
I was very quick to send Kale up. I think, like, I just volunteered him. You're going up. I don't like heights. I'm not going up there. Question from just gone off my screen. Snow Laner. Bilsy, have you told Trent what you thought about his magician's assistant? Now, funnily enough, social media on Lego Masters get you to write a caption, and they approve it before. But man, some of the thoughts I came up with that magician's assistant's mouth and what it might have looked like. Bilsy, we're on the same wavelength here. Pinto, I know where your mind went. Something exactly that blows up.
To keep it family friendly, one of those little moments I really loved that didn't make it to the edit is, and one of the reasons it worked so well, we worked so well as a team. Anytime we'd hit a barrier, we'd swap sides and say, hey, why isn't this working? And one of those moments was with the magician's mouth. You're like, oh, there's something off here. and I've just picked up 2 pieces off the table and stuck it in, it needs a tongue. And you're like, yeah, that's it. And then you've thought about it for a few seconds, and you've gone, nah, you've picked up red bricks. It needs to be pink. I'm off to the brick pit. I'll be right back. And like, I would have loved to have seen little moments like that are just so perfect. Make the final edit.
Your face in that photo, Trent, is like you're thinking what everyone else is thinking, mate. Look at that face. You've got that
That's
face.
blue steel.
That's 100% deviant face. That's the deviant face there.
That's like
family friendly isn't happening here, is it?
That's a Devo face for sure, mate.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. We mentioned about earlier. We kind of touched on it slightly about Brickman, and we've noticed it as well. This year, how he's got like that harder point of view. The boat was a stinker with the boys last night. The wings with you guys from the first episode, and he touched on a little bit tonight. And we said it, us 3 guys, we're like, it's so much better to see this side of Brickman where he's proper like, guys, raise the bar. You ain't fluffing it anymore. Stop. Push yourself. Like, was he like that? We've missed obviously the edits on some of it, but has he been like that through the episodes, hard and very picky at what you're building and bringing up? Especially for us.
I touched on some of it earlier, but as we head into next episode, we need to take the risk because we need to be twice as good as everybody else to stay in the competition because Brickman hates us. And at least that's how it felt. Certain other teams seem to get a much easier ride, and we seem to get much harder ride.
It's a fair point. Like that boat that Henry and Joss built, right? Like, so they're koi fish and they're fishermen, insane. And then the boat, like, yeah, sure, it wasn't ideal, but it wasn't really the biggest part of their build. And they're bottom with the 2 best, like, really good elements, and the boat just dragged them to the bottom. That's harsh. Like, that's not just us that's harsh. That is super harsh. And Damien and Andrew, like, I think, again, bottom of the table because they didn't get the fall. But that build is insanely good. So I think he was, if he could pick on something, you got picked on. Like, it was that close that he was, I think his judging went to another level in terms of those.
So
those,
he had to.
He had to differentiate. Yep.
Whatever he could pick on, he had to, because otherwise you'd all be getting 18s and 20s. It just... the builds this season are next level. We keep saying it. So
there were no duds there. Don't get me wrong, but it's also about the how. I don't know. I don't think it's in my head. He was definitely harsher on us, and a little bit blunter. I don't know.
Maybe it's a little bit. Maybe it's a combination
of destroying the builds as well. Like, we've seen that destroy slow-mo challenge on several seasons now. And
every really second episode,
or
second episode of every season,
done in a new way. I don't know how you didn't want to pee all day listening to the water, but
it's funny. Both Trent and Bilsy will tell you this. I've got a bit of a sixth sense for picking up on the challenges. I knew what this particular challenge was going to be, or sorry, the magician challenge was going to be. You could the water smell. You could smell far off, and they did fire last season.
He picked it. He picked the smell, the chlorine. Yep.
I was like, yep, it's going to be a destruction challenge. We're going to have to, like, they did a fire last season. Like, I think I said it before we even walked into the building. This is going to be water. They're going to be using water to destroy something. So,
well, to be fair, you did say in our first build that didn't go to TV. Remember the whole smash the alien thing? You knew that it was going to be some sort of a smashing episode. So
yeah,
I mean, I'll agree
well,
with
like I don't realize it in that episode, but what I'm really doing when I'm building that alien is building a great big bowling ball that I want to throw through the thing. Yeah. Because I'm not happy with the build and I'm not happy with the situation. But yeah, it's the DeLorean episode's another one. You could smell. There's a distinctive smell to time travel. Those 1980s engine for pre-carbon converter for leaded fuel.
It's got a distinctive.
Well, no, it's the leaded fuel engine. legitimately. So there was, you could smell it on the day.
Also, in the worlds, the last episode we're in, we could smell food, and then that didn't even go to air. But how long did we smell the food for?
Yeah.
Oh, Guyana and Danushi's one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Question in the chat coming through. KB, who came up with the idea of Trent's veto? The whole, so from this episode, the whole veto idea, Trent takes the reign. Where'd that come from?
I think Kale. And you correct me if I misstate this, but Kale's very self-aware, and so he knows he can go and come up with crazy ideas. And I think we had this sort of idea that if it went too crazy, I'd have a power of veto that he would just accept. He would just go, you say it, and I'll just listen to that. Use your veto card, and that's me just going, yep, all good, understand. And originally, what we wanted to do in that build was to build Brickman or build Hamish. And I was down with that because I'm like, it's so absurd and it's so Kale. It's going to be hilarious if we do it. Like, it's going to be obvious, right? We're not going to fool anyone, but it's going to be mad. But they wouldn't let us do Brickman or Hamish. So then the next thing was that the table. Kale's like, let's build the table and the chair. And I think at that point, I'm like, we're not going to make it. Like, we're not. No. It's too many bricks to lay. And like true to form, Kale just was like, yep, that's fine. Move on. We'll go with something else.
This is where I think you dropped the ball, Trent, man. You should have built that chair. You should have went with the chair.
Oh, look, I do feel like, and you said you do see that in the edit. I did feel like we should have taken a bigger risk. And like, I wanted to build the fan. That was on my list. But of course, Scotty and Owen, that's the first thing that gets selected. I didn't even realise where it was in the room, because if I had, I probably wouldn't have picked the thing that's immediately behind it. But yeah.
That man, God, it would have been good if you guys went for that bloody chair though. Like, that would have been an amazing thing. Let's talk about this fan. That fan, like, we'll talk about it. And this is another thing. Tonight's episode, I feel, and who knows where the seasons are going to go from here, but tonight's episode has pretty much almost been the pinnacle episode, hands down, of every season. Like, holy crap, every build was just 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10. How do you beat that? How do you, not just for a challenge, but for an actual build, how do you take on that? Some of them builds, your guys from the radio, from Henry's coat, the coat hanger, coat rack, but that fan, like the way that, fair enough, he got the fan spinning with the cage, looked amazing, and then all of a sudden it's now oscillating as well as like, come on, boys, like, Jesus.
Man, you'll see in other episodes, man. If there's not a technic thing available, Owen will just make it. He is insane. Like, I don't know if you guys know, like for the viewers, if you know what a linear actuator is, but Owen literally will just go, yep, I'm just building one because I don't have one in the brick pit. I'm just building one. Yeah. Like, he's insane.
And there is so much more technique in that brick pit now. I don't know if you remember from first season, but like we did, there's a lot of technique parts that need the corresponding part, and they just weren't there. So any mechanisms we made in that first season were just so cludged together inside. That's no longer the limitation it was. So it's much easier to do stuff like what Scotty and Owen did. And don't get me wrong, it is genius. But at the same time, it would have been impossible in seasons 1 and 2.
Fair call. Question to Kale and Trent. Do you both feel you could have completed the chair in the way you visioned with the time that you had, or come very close?
What was it, 8 hours on this one?
3 days to Bendigo, so prove us wrong.
No, I don't know if it'll make any of the edits, but Trent's not kidding. I am the fastest builder I know. I think Owen could match me, but I don't think he's
I think Owen's faster than you, bro. I think Owen's faster than you, man. Owen lays an inordinate amount of bricks per second.
Owen is fast, yeah. Look, I think I would have never contemplated being able to finish that chair. I watched Kale in a build that comes in the future lay bricks, but double-handed. Like, it was insanity, the speed of which I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Owen is fast, and that will be like a race between the Superman and the Flash. But I reckon we could have got. I reckon we could have got close on the chair.
Proper nerd comment right there.
Yeah, like Trent's right. I quite often build for anything large that's the same basic brick. I'll use both hands, you know, and the speed I can lay down bricks, you know, simple bricks we're talking, is just, yeah, you know, I've never met anybody, because like, we're all AFOLs. We had these competitions as part of our lugs, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to enter a house. You know? So yeah.
That's not because of your speed building. That's because of, you know, your comments.
Oh.
Rowan said one bit that we all liked was the bit where everyone got to check out each other's builds and comment on them. Now, from tonight's episode, I love that you guys were shown actually properly what, instead of quickly doing that run around before quick offset, you actually got time to have a check and build it out. Henry, you can, you know, both you, Kale, Trent, and Henry, you can all answer this one. The typewriter, Andrew and Damien's typewriter. Spill the beans. How?
Bro, it was legit. Like,
oh yeah, gorgeous.
I think I was next to them in that build. I can't remember if I was next to them. I think I was next to them, and then I was looking at it, going, man, and look, for everyone at home, that typewriter is 100% different to the typewriter Lego set. Like, it is not the same typewriter at all. The construction techniques are totally different. It is a absolutely unique, you know, construction that Andrew and Damien did. So don't think for a second that it, you know, there's a template because there's a Lego typewriter set. It's not. You know, the only thing that came from the set were probably the keys, the letters. You know what I mean? Like that said A, B, C, D, whatever. But that was the most. It was so elegant, and it was like it's almost the centerpiece of the room, right? Because when you're looking at the room, you're sort of looking at the center straight away, right? And what's in the center? The desk, the typewriter. And so straight away you're drawn to it and you go, oh man, that is not Lego. That is unbelievable. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. And there's little details, like they managed to get lines on the paper, for instance. And so there's so much more really going on there. Like, we absolutely all did rib them about it being the official typewriter. Henry's right. It totally is so much different. But all 8 builds in the room had a whole bunch of hidden details. For instance, Scotty will tell you about the importance of electrical plugs meeting Australian standards.
That's right.
And how the various people in the room who had electrical plugs made them in very different ways. There is some crazy details on Josh and Henry's lamp stand. You know, it's just there's some next level stuff happening with the one Gus and David built. It opens up, stuff comes out, you know. Yeah, so much gets skipped over.
For you guys standing back, I'll see if I can bring up the point I'm talking about. Standing back when Sophie's in there looking at the room, or you guys looking at the room. We don't need to play the Hey Henry part again.
Play it again.
for when you, here we go, this part. So when, god damn it. See if I can go back. So when, when
it was you, Henry, that she was saying hey to, and not Joss and Henry.
Yeah, got him.
Shut up, Bilsy.
Was there, so for you guys knowing what you were looking at, what out of in your opinions, and we'll go down from Henry down Kale then to Trent, what one actually did blend in the best? I feel it was Gabby and Ryan's clock, personally.
Yeah, I thought Gabby and Ryan's clock is off the chain as well. Bro, every build is ridiculous.
Yeah,
right?
like I think it's maybe worth talking a little bit about, because, you know, we're all Lego fans here, the technical elements of a build. Like, I'm not going to criticize any of the builds. They were all awesome, right? But there are certain things that make this kind of challenge easier. Using black is one of them, because black sucks up light and it hides details. So the highest difficulty one, and certainly anything that needs to replicate a different texture, we mentioned that, because you can't swap Lego plastic for a different texture. You know, it's the limitation.
We could have grabbed the Venetian we could have grabbed the Venetian blinds off and just gone, heaps of plates, heaps of tile, just chuck it up.
Yeah, and like there are a lot of things in the room that, you know, like there was bait. You know, like if you pick the sailboat, it already looks like a toy. You know, she's going to pick the toy. The globes, there were 2 globes. Globes are probably the single hardest thing to make out of Lego. They're always going to look like Lego.
Suitcases would have been pretty easy.
Yeah, and suitcases, you're getting back to shiny territory. You know, that's the texture's already right. It's on attack. Color matching. You know, like of course she picked out the red telephone because it's the right red. You know, you know, whereas say the sand green typewriter, that helps. You know, hide. Likewise, the browns of the hat stand. Even if you could have seen the top going on, great move hiding the coat jacket on it. You know, it's the right color to be able to hide and blend.
Even in this photo, the coat hanger doesn't even look like Lego. With the hat
man, I deliberately picked it, because Sarah and I were tossing up between the TV and the hat stand because we were both like, we got to do something crazy this one because it's perceived that we're playing it safe for the first 2. Let's just do something stupid, and we picked. I was thinking seriously about the TV, but then ultimately I thought, oh man, it's not something we can both work together on or compartmentalize. I said the TV is going to be too hard. Let's just get the hat stand, and I just grabbed it before anyone else could.
And I will say, I think that the single most difficult item in the room would have been the TV. Because the screen needs to be curved and reflective and seamless. Yes. Which is not something you can replicate because there simply aren't those parts.
I just saw something as well. If you look at this photo, the parrot on the desk is the parrot from the first pull down and rebuild from season 1. Same colors and same pose. So, you know, it's like it could have been an Easter egg from Brickman putting in there that, you know, you could build. You could have went really dumb and simple and built the filing cabinet under the clock too. That would have been a pass.
There was even talks about building the mosaic wall, like with all our faces and stuff like that. You know, like, oh, I wish somebody picked that, and we're like, oh man, that'd be the worst thing to pick ever.
That would have been a really hard one though. Sure, you can do a lot with a mosaic and get really detailed with it, but we only had 10 hours on the clock.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on picking the lamp?
I loved the lamp. It could have been done with trans to make it a little bit more, basically for the light to be able to put underneath it.
Yeah.
So
the other thing that it wasn't emphasized is the location of the object in the room, like the way it was lit when we picked. They made it very clear that that's the way. That's, I guess, a tactic.
And they darkened the room for Sophie.
Yeah.
You're like, it just make it, you know. Like, light it up a little.
She was just randomly picking stuff, mate. She could have picked 8 from 8 if, if she was just gone, yeah. She was just picking stuff.
Look, I reckon if she'd walked in there, she still wouldn't have picked them all.
Yeah.
How did you pick the trophy?
Yeah, I don't know. There's no way you can build that out of Lego.
How did you pick that trophy?
To be fair, it would have been pretty small from where she was.
The camera,
she had to stand a fair way back.
You could have done the camera. You would have got away with that camera.
Yeah, the camera's pretty cool.
Yeah, I reckon if there we go. There you go. So yeah, pass failure. And again, like insane. Like just the level of detail on all you guys' build was mind blowing, crazy. Absolutely bloody loved it. But I still reckon you should have built that chair. Just saying.
What about? I do have a question. We haven't talked about Alex and Caleb's books either.
Okay, go for it.
One thing they didn't show close up was there was a book. Just one thing they didn't mention. There was a bookmark in one of the books, and they actually got a cape and ripped it, like to give it that kind of tattered look.
And she
you saw it if you went quickly, but it was like, oh, a little part of me got hurt when they were like, ripping up those cloth capes.
And she
But
was so
that was
proud.
that was pretty cool. And their like lamp, or whatever they were, telephone book ends that they had on either side, they were ace. Like the books, they were pretty geometric, and they had to just kind of replicate the colors. But the bookends they nailed, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, there's little things that the books needed to really make them pop that extra level. I mean, because remember, as we're building, the Harry Potter icon set has already been released. There's multiple Lego books available, as sets. So in setting, making sure that the cover is not flush with the paper, and having the curve and groove of the spine. Those little details would have been the extra mile, I think.
You know what? I'm going to go back, like you said, the little details.
Because, I mean, Brickman totally forgot to give him any criticism. So, let's get some in there.
Jesus. Where's I'm trying to find another room photo, because I'm even trying to have trouble here we go, going back to, at the top. I forgot where the books were. Like that, they blend in proper good.
Yeah,
they're in shadow. There's no light on it. Yeah, totally shadowed at the top.
Yeah, you're not looking. Yeah, you know what? And then like Henry's choice as well. You play the game. You're not playing what you build. What can you hide?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well played for them, and obviously it paid out. I do have a non-Lego question for Trent too. Non-Lego stuff, non-questions. Apologies for not talking Lego. This is for Conan Doodle. Good name. But are they battle beasts behind you? Nostalgia overload.
Yeah. I've got pretty much everything from the 80s and 90s, including the old battle beasts. These are actually really hard to come by in Australia. I remember getting one set of 2 from a Target here, but that was really the only time I ever saw them.
Did they have a hologram on the chest? Did they have a hologram?
Yeah, correct.
On
the rub.
Yeah.
So the idea was like you give them a rub, and it comes up with like the Transformers ones.
Yeah, I used to have one.
Yep. So like fire, wood, or water, and the idea was like fire beats wood, wood beats water, water beats fire, and you kind of battle them. So.
Yeah, I used to have one with an orange and a dark blue color scheme. I think it was a fox or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Keen to know what Kale and Trent's favorite Lego series to collect outside of MOCs are. Trent, Kale, you can go first.
Superheroes, hands down. So, so many superheroes in this house, and a little bit of Star Wars. Like, you had a little bit of that too earlier.
Do you still have your oversized Daily Bugle you can show?
Yep, that's here. It's slowly, like, I've been brushing against this for ages now, but here it is. So let's see. I don't know. And it's much more impressive behind too. It's full interior there.
It is big.
So, but yeah, that's
Trent?
slowly falling apart and desperate need of repair.
Look, I love the modular buildings. I don't know if that's a bit boring. I love that. Yeah, I got heaps of the superhero stuff. But I think sometimes like those, I just remember getting burnt out by Batman. It was sort of like got into the Batman, and they did do DC superheroes, and then you're buying the Batwing for the like 5th time, and it's another Joker helicopter kind of thing. Whereas the modular sets, they release them just at the right sort of time frame. So like, I don't know what it is, every sort of 6 months another one comes out, and that just feels a bit more achievable. Or you're not buying
every New Year's Day except for the rubbish brick bank. They've all been fairly well.
New Year's Day. So
yeah,
just when you broke from Christmas.
Yeah, then they release it. Sure.
Yeah. And I feel the same way about Star Wars. Oh, great, more grey plates.
Another X-Wing. Another 18.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I collect a lot of the Star Wars toys, and they do a 6-inch Star Wars line called Black Series. And funny enough, like the color palette is so drab when you line them all up. It's a very, very drab grays and browns and blacks, and there's a bit of white and a few reds in there. But the Star Wars color palette isn't probably the most exciting.
For those that I just realized we just had a whole wave of few people coming into the stream tonight. We do have Kale and Trent. They are currently on Grandmasters, what's airing here in Australia at the moment. Especially for those in New Zealand, we know your one's airing as well, but ours are obviously much, much better. And those that I've been sitting in the chat, you have any questions for Kale and Trent too, feel free to write them in there. We are going through your questions, doesn't matter what it is. Obviously, Trent's background's colourful and 80s and pretty awesome. So a couple of questions are coming through for that one. Primal Freeze, if the lamp had been transparent and lit up, the studs would have been highlighted. There's that lamp. There was no way that lamp, I mean...
But they had no visible studs. And certainly you do get to see some of it in the edit. What they did with the bridles and the various other little bits to kind of get the shaping there, it's next level. It's gorgeous, you know.
The lamp lighting could have worked if they'd tried using those Lego lights without those trans yellow bricks shoved on them. They would have been brighter. Or if they'd gone and asked their mate Geordie.
Look, I think if they'd asked, they probably would have been able to keep the little LED light that was in there to begin with.
Well, yeah.
Just keep it in there.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, there's only so much time on the clock. There's only so much you can do in that given time.
Yeah.
It can absolutely be done, and I reckon I could have. I know I could do it. I know they could do it.
It probably would have
in that
helped
time
them
frame.
not be picked, because it's like the fan. The fan was epic moving. When it wasn't moving, it was damn obvious it was Lego. So
those blades, they had something.
All right, next question. For Kale and Trent, how long have you both been into Lego, and what pushed you to get to the involved at the lug or the higher level, the mock level?
I'll just quickly, a little anecdote for everyone. If you remember Fabuland, some of my earliest memories are playing with Fabuland on the carpet. So that's as far back as I can remember. I've been playing with Lego and always loved it. Dark years for a couple of years, but not long. Bilsy, you got me into Lego Masters when you came on the podcast. Yeah, it's all because of Bilsy. Bilsy came on Toy Power after season 1 had aired, and you were the prompter to get me to audition. I remember you saying you got nothing to lose, such a fun time, great experience, give it a crack. And I think I went in next couple of days and put in my application. So all Bilsy around the mocks and
I do remember that podcast.
Stuff.
We talked about Inspector Gadget quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny you say that, Trent, because here's the reason why I've never gone on.
Get out of here.
Wow.
Kale,
a bit of a story for me. Yes, absolutely. I played with it as a kid, but what got me back into it as an adult, my youngest son was born 6 weeks prem, straight into the NICU. Like, he's fine now, okay, so happy ending to the story. But that was the single scariest time of my life, like, seeing him there full of tubes, not knowing if he was ever going to get out there, not even having been able to hold him. And so, like, the nurses are there, they're like, you should go home and get some rest. You should go home and get some rest. And like, I knew I wasn't going to be able to sleep when I got home. And so on the way home, I picked up a couple of big sets from a big box retailer. I think it was a couple of the Haunted Mansions. I can't remember. But when I got home, I just poured all the parts out onto the floor and threw away the instructions, just kind of as a way as processing, and got building. And turns out, like it was just, it helped. Like, it really, really helped. And within a very short period of time after that, I found myself going along, I think it was Brickvention, very first Brickvention at the exhibition building, and met up with members of the community and started connecting really rapidly and quickly. And because I've got a bit of a talent for building, that kind of got noticed as well and got actively encouraged by my lug. And so that's what got me back into it as an adult. Yeah. And, my now 10-year-old boy having a rather difficult birth,
There you go.
And so, yeah.
Did Brickman keep any of the builds? Surely would have kept one or two from this episode. Surely.
You can't. You can't.
Well,
there's only so many bricks available. You've got to kind of put them back.
Yeah, but you didn't build the chair, so he's got plenty of brown, so he's probably got.
You'd think, but
Has he got your hat stand in his house there, Henry?
Nah, man.
Question from Josh, Kale and Trent: if they were to do a World Lego Masters, would you put your hands up? Of course. You'd be silly not to.
You'd do it just for the travel, wouldn't you?
For the travel, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I'd be asking questions about what production's budget is. Yes.
Kale already playing with contract.
And surely you wouldn't do it if Will Arnett was involved. Like, come on.
No.
Well, the voice of Lego Batman, come on. We had Lego Batman playing every day in this house for 6 months, like at the insistence of, at that point in time, though I think he was 3 or 4, every day he had to have that movie played. We've got all of the Lego Batman movie Lego in this house.
Wouldn't it be funny if Adam West was the host instead of, the Dropkick Will?
It would be funny because they'd have to reanimate him from the grave. I mean,
Weekend at Bernie style.
Bloody hell. Conan Doodle, you guys. Do you build a purchase kit and are amazed at some of the techniques, or have you seen it all? No, so I'm going to add to that. Do you guys, and I've been doing it with the Speed Champion stuff. Do you still get mind blown and shocked on the nice part usage that Lego still come up with?
No, okay. There's a deeper answer here to this. I think being one of the being a mock creator, it takes a long time to build a Lego official set, right? And I'm sure a few people who work within Lego. I do too. And they very actively watch us mock creators. And there are internal databases they have where our creations are basically saved for them. So what you'll end up usually seeing is one of us mock creators has come up with the technique, and then it appears in official sets. Yeah. And a lot of people discover it through the official set. But if you're the kind of person who's looking at Brother Brick all the time, or has an Instagram feed that is entirely Lego creators, like myself, we've seen the techniques. We know, we know how they've done already, because the people who work and design those sets inside Lego are also people like us who are looking at what everybody else is creating and learning from it.
I like.
Anything to add to that?
I
know it was a bit of a long answer. I'm just going.
I'll often open up like a modular set, and I'll be building something, and then there'll be 1 or 2 aspects where I'm just like, oh man, this is genius. The way it comes together, and I'll just sit there going, oh, you are incredible for coming up with that or thinking about it in that way. It does still get me. I mean, I'm probably not an aficionado like some other Lego builders, so I don't have all. I certainly haven't seen it all. I don't have all the techniques.
No, at Speed Champions lately, especially the Aston Martin, the R34, the last couple, man, they've been proper insane sideways building to join it to backwards to there's been some really good ones.
Rapid changes of directions in such short space, and that's what I look at Lego sets for. New parts. There is basically there are stuff. The one thing you can do as an internal designer that us mock creators can't is make new parts. Stuff like the Bowser is just amazing, and I've seen some amazing mock creation Bowsers, but having the ability to just all of a sudden have those extra molds that you can get to just make it pop to that level. All
right, next question before we get our ears burnt off from Kale's skills. What's the one official set you regret not buying? And now it's obviously out of reach because it's just insanely dumb priced or hard to get. Trent's like everything Fabuland.
That's right. Yeah, look, I missed. Look, I'm a big Pirate Lego fan, and as a kid, 1989, we got the entire first wave of that, except for the pirate ship, and that's haunted me ever since. I still remember seeing it. They did a reissue of it in the early to mid 2000s, and I remember walking into a Lego store, seeing the reissue on the shelves, and $200, nah. And now just so bitter, so bitter. I mean, I've got the other one, the new one that turns into the island, and that's a great sort of ship. But man, that's always going to haunt me.
Mine's similar to yours, Trent. Like I wish I got more of the Pirates of the Caribbean ships. Like I thought they were awesome, and
they were cool.
Spewing, I never got them, and I'm spewing. I wasn't into Lego that much when those Pirates of the Caribbean ships came out, but I can tell you right now, if they came out again, I'm buying them.
Bill?
No, it's going to sound.
He's got everything. Look
at that. Do you know, my biggest regret is I had all the original released Star Wars sets from '99 that saved Lego. I had everything and a lot of it multiple times because I was right into Star Wars at the time, and Lego license was epic. It got me back into Lego. And anyway, long story short, a few years later, I had kids. I was no longer into Lego. I sold them all. I sold the lot, and that's my biggest regret is that I got rid of the original Star Wars Lego from that 99 2000.
Kale, you have one out there that's hard to get, a rare, or one you've always wanted, or even.
Nah, look. Even when I do get an official set, I mod them. You probably saw the Thor's hammer up there. I didn't like the lack of detailing on it, so even stuff like that I mod. And like our houses are only so big. Where would I put it? Every time I get a nice new Lego model comes out, it has to displace something that's already on display.
What about Lego House gifts? You've been RLFM, you get a couple of extra chances to get stuff here and there that most people won't. Has there ever been something like that in the less than 100 release limited stuff that you kind of thought, oh, that'd be pretty cool to have?
No, again, because I'm not in the like some of us are in the hobby as collectors. Some of us are artists who want to create. I'm the second. I'm very much the second. Yeah, sure. I've got display pieces and stuff I like. I've got the Star Wars collection, but I would much rather go to Bricklink and spend the same amount of money on that fabulous new part.
Fair call. I don't think I got a Yobbo from 2018 or 2019 Brickvention, so maybe that could be my. For those that don't know, Kale built, was it Yobbo or Bogan or whatever his name was?
No, it was Yobbo. That year, it was just before the show's about to air. I did the Brickvention set that you could buy. It was based on Annie, who's also been on the show, her house at the time.
I think they call Annie a Yobbo.
No, because the exhibitor in the exhibitor bags was the exhibitor set, and absolutely, it was Yobbo. It was similar to a brickhead, and it just a little blue skivvy hat and a barbecue. That could probably be arranged. The printing on there's one printed bit, but apart from that, you can get the instructions.
I think I did buy it before it came out. I can't remember. I'm sure it's somewhere. I'm just pulling your leg. Question for Kale. Would you come back on this channel again and build with Iron Bilsy as he doesn't build enough on here? Snow Lane up, block Andy. Did the dial move on your radio tonight's episode?
Yep. There was initially plans to make the dial operate the little bar. We didn't put that into the final. Basically, time limitations. We got behind on. I spent too long on the front face, and clock was against us. So that was one of the things that isn't there. The buttons move. That was in there. You could press the buttons and adjust them. And it gave them a little bit of play there.
A shout out here from Helena. She's part of obviously Brick Built in Sydney, same as Henry. They got their show coming up. May 27, May 28. Now that, Grandmasters has come out, and no doubt about it, it's 10 times bigger than any other season has been, and so far so bloody good. I'll go with Trent. I'll go with you first. Do you feel two things? A, is the pressure on for you to now turn up 2 Lego shows and display? And how hard is the pressure for you to go bigger than you normally would?
Yeah, look, I've only done a few shows, so I think I don't know if it's so much the pressure of getting to a show to be there, rather catching up with everyone that is going to be at these shows. So I made an effort to get the Brickvention in Melbourne this year, and that was amazing. It was so much fun. We had Randall. Yeah, we had Randall come down from season 2 in the US, and he's an absolute legend. Like, it was just, I had the best time. So, but unfortunately, like, it's expensive to travel to all these gigs. And I'd say, like, I don't know if it can be done, if there's any way to chip in to get us to more of these things, or if we just sort of pay our own way.
So in other words, no, I'll back you up here, man. I'll back you up here. Brick Build, pay for Kale and Trent to get to your show, because it's going to be worth having them there, hands down. You know, put your hands in your pockets.
We'll build a chair in 8 hours, a live chair build.
I love it. I love it.
So bloody good. I'm just going through a couple more of these questions.
Open up the purse strings, Helena. You're on the committee, mate. Get it done.
The Canberra Brick Show is at the end of the year. You should go there. No one wants to go there. It's cheap as. Everyone's leaving. No, but on a serious note, just like the Sydney show, the Canberra one's a really good one to do as well.
Right.
They're all good, but Trent hit the nail on the head. You got to realise it gets, like, how much did Brickvention cost us to get there, man? It gets expensive to travel to these places, to build the size of mocks, you know, you kind of want to build. And, like, you know, I guarantee all of us have spent, Henry, without, and we'll show it in a sec, without, you know, stroking your goat, how much has roughly your Gundam robot cost over the years? 10 grand plus?
No, not 10.
Come on, man. The above 5.
No, it's actually pretty. It's probably around 2-ish. It's probably about 2.
Don't believe you.
2.
I'll buy it off you for 2 then.
I wouldn't sell it to you for 2.
Yes.
You can get it cheaper off AliExpress.
Yeah, bro, you can get a cheap one for $600 off AliExpress, man.
So we know that, you know, at the moment, Henry does have his character dude in ideas. Kale, have you got anything coming up? Are you going to resubmit new ideas? You got something you're going to put in there under your sleeve? Are you still aiming to go down that design path?
Maybe. I mean, over here is the food stand diners, and that's already in the 10K club. You know, it's the way Lego Ideas works has changed. I don't know. There are a few ideas I'd like to. We'll see if it happens. Maybe.
Okay. Trent, as well, same with you. You know, does it now coming back, you know, obviously back into another season, Grandmasters are now being so big and producing what you guys are producing. Is there more? Is there going to be a mock at a show coming out soon? Or actually, even better, I noticed on your table at Brickvention, you had a little sign that said, you know, contact us to build your character, yourself, your person, your sig fig, whatever it is. Is that door still open? Can we start funneling people to, you know, get themselves built into a Trent character?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do it. The unfortunate thing is, it's cost prohibitive. I think I can't remember. Josh does all the kind of business side of stuff, and I think we didn't really get any bites on that, because I think they're like $500, which is just, again, by the time you source all the parts, it's pretty much a labor of love for these sort of characters. But it is, you know, it's super expensive, right? So not everyone wants them, but happy to do them. Like, happy to do you in Lego form as a Trent character.
Mate,
but probably most of the people watching this could do it themselves.
If they're $500 for normal characters, I've got to spend extra $150 just on my gut. I'll pass. I'm good, thanks. Now, question that come up last night with Henry, and I'll go back to you, Trent, first as well. Souvenirs from the Brick Pit, from the show. What'd you take home?
I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing. I'm one of these people that just likes to follow the rules on this stuff. But I think Brickman did give us something.
Man. From not watching. We're safe. We're good.
No. It's legit. It's legit. but Brickman, when our thing exploded on the rocks and the waterfall, Brickman did come over with something or other, and I can't remember what it was, but maybe Kale got it. If I got it, I just lost it.
I did too, because I did actually try to take a very small souvenir from each episode. And for instance, for the first episode, I've got part of the banner around here somewhere. And for the Destruction challenge, it was actually one of the playing cards. I went over and I got one of the little playing cards that was in the barrel, and then I promptly lost it. It never made it back to Melbourne with me. But yeah, I did. I got something really tiny that reflected each build. I don't think I got anything from this one though. Yeah.
That's still pretty cool.
So
guys, I think I've kept on long enough. This has been now probably one of our longest streams ever, and we could probably still keep going for ages. But obviously, it is pulling time. We've hit an hour and a half, which is insane. I will keep the invitation open if you guys do want to come back on again, have a chat, one-on-one, all that kind of stuff. Because when we get you guys on like this, whether it's you two or it's another, and Henry's staple of the furniture now, so Henry's here every night no matter what. But it keeps us interesting. It keeps a change thing, and especially tonight, I think we've gone over 500 comments already. So it's obviously people are gone insane about having you guys on here. And again, we purposely saved you two to have us as the first guests for this year. So we had to make it good. We had to make it big, and I'm glad I got both of you on here at the same time. Kale, I know you gave everybody in the world your Instagram on the first season. If they were to follow you now, give all your social details. Your
Prosprix. I'm Prosprix online, especially Instagram and Facebook. That's the other probably best place to find me. Prosprix.
There you go, Frostbricks. Trent, you too. Where do they follow you? What's your podcast? Your toy? Everything you do. Where's the best place to go and fanboy over you?
Yeah, well, we've been doing. We've hit over 300 episodes of our toy and pop culture podcast called Toy Power. So we've just been, every Sunday night we drop a new hour-long episode. Just a lot of fun talking about toys and all the fun memories we had as kids. And God, they know how to get us still with what they release. I tell you what, when they said collect them all, I took that literally, and I'm still trying to get one of everything. So if you like toys, tune into Toy Power for a hit of nostalgia.
Awesome.
Absolutely friggin' awesome. Thanks for the cheer, brother. And again, we are 3 episodes down now. We're about to move into episode number 4. Obviously, tonight there was a few sneak peeks of what's going down with a bit of a roller coaster. They didn't give you much, which is good, but you've got that. You've got the roller coaster out. Again, check out Kale, Frost Bricks. Check out Trent, the Toy Power podcast. Kale, especially, man, I really appreciate you coming on and being open and having the chat. And I'm glad we're on talking level again, and we'll keep it like that now for sure.
It's been fun. Thank you for the invite.
It has been very, very good, and I'm glad both of you have lasted the legs. We'll be back Sunday night for those regular people that are watching. We will have a guest. I don't know yet who will come on, but keep to my Instagram, Bill's Instagram, and Henry's Instagram. I'm sure they'll share it and it'll pop up there. But tonight, people in the chat, absolutely friggin' awesome for you guys to come in and ask as many questions of you as you have. And we've kept a solid between 50 and 70 streaming audience all night, so which is probably really, really good for us normally. So, thanks to you two for bringing, fresh eyes in and appreciate it. For everybody else, have a good night.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.